at that feeling that the real power in the world, it's happening just out of sight? That the big decisions are being made in secret by people we'll never even see? Well, today, we're going to dive right into that. We're going to look at the mechanics of these hidden power structures and explore two totally different ways to fight back. It's not a new idea. Way back over a century ago, Teddy Roosevelt put a name to this exact feeling. He called it an invisible government. And look, this isn't just about politics. It's about any powerful, secretive group that's working against the public interest, whether that's in government or, a giant corporation. So that leads to the big question, right? If a power structure is literally designed to be invisible, how on earth do you challenge it? Well, it turns out the answer starts with really understanding how these secret systems get built in the first place.
Okay, so let's get into it. The number one tool for any authoritarian or unjust system is conspiracy. Now, I know that word gets thrown around a lot, but its real meaning, that's the key to all of this.
Okay, check this out. The word conspiracy, it actually comes from the Latin conspire, which literally means to breathe together. Isn't that wild? It's not just about secret plans. It's about a group of people who are in such close secret alignment that they basically function as a single organism, like they're all breathing the same air.
And for these systems, this secret breathing together is absolutely essential. I mean, think about it. Why? Because if their plans were out in the open, people would resist, right? Instantly. Secrecy is their oxygen. They literally can't survive without it.
So to figure out how to stop this breathing, we first need a way to see something that's designed to be unseeable. And Julian Assange actually came up with a really powerful mental model to help us do just that. This is where it gets really interesting, where the abstract becomes totally tangible. So imagine this. Each person inside the conspiracy is like a nail hammered into a board. Okay? Now, all the secret communication between them, the emails, the encrypted chats, the backroom meetings, that's like twine, connecting all those nails. And when you step back, you see they form this whole network, a kind of connected graph. But here's the thing. Not all those connections are created equal. A link carrying, say, a critical plan, that's like a thick, heavy cord. But a link with just some trivial chatter, that's just a fine little thread. The real strength of the conspiracy depends on how thick and how dense those connections are. And this is the crucial leap. This network of nails and twine, it's more than just a bunch of people scheming. It actually becomes a single cognitive device, a thinking machine. Seriously. It can process information, it can strategize, and it can act with a collective intelligence that's way more powerful than any one person inside of it. So if a conspiracy is a thinking machine, how do you defeat it? Well, you have to attack its ability to think. And it turns out there are two main ways to go about that. And this is where we see the huge difference. Okay, so traditional attacks, arrests, assassinations, that's like pulling one single nail out of the board. Yeah, the network might be damaged, but it can usually just reroute the twine and repair itself. But informational attacks, leaks, they're completely different. That's like taking a pair of scissors and cutting the twine itself. You're not attacking the people, you're attacking the connections that allow the machine to think. This is exactly why leaks are so incredibly powerful. They do so much more than just expose one little secret. No, they infect the entire network with paranoia. Suddenly, the conspirators are afraid to talk to each other. This creates what's called a secrecy tax. It slows everything down, and the machine starts to suffer from cognitive decline. It just can't think clearly or adapt anymore, leaving it, as Assange puts it, exquisitely vulnerable. But cutting the links of communication, that isn't the only way to break a conspiracy's mind. There's another, equally powerful method, and it attacks the system from a completely different angle. Right. So instead of attacking the how of the conspiracy, its secret communications, you can attack the why. You can change the story, the very reason it exists in the first place, all through the power of narrative. This is where things like literature, art, and storytelling become these incredible vehicles for resistance. See, they don't cut the twine between the conspirators. Instead, they weave a new twine among the public. Just think about how a novel like Orwell's 1984 gives us a shared language to talk about protest. These stories, they expose injustice and they build a collective will. They create a different kind of breathing together, one based on solidarity and defiance.
So now we have these two really different strategies, right? On one hand, the technical act of leaking information. On the other, the very human act of telling a story. So how do they connect?
Well, they actually share a common goal: revelation. It's like this quote says, "For anyone to do something intelligent, they have to know what's actually going on." It doesn't matter if you're talking about the public rising up or a system being reformed from within. Both leaks and literature work to reveal a hidden truth. And here it is, the whole idea laid out perfectly. Leaks are a direct assault on the conspiracy's nervous system. They target its ability to act. But narrative, that's an assault on its soul, on its moral authority. It targets its justification to act. So one is about breaking the machine itself, and the other is about breaking its spirit.
But at the end of the day, both methods are targeting the exact same vulnerability. They are just two different ways to cause that system-wide cognitive decline we were talking about. One paralyzes the machine by literally severing its connections. The other demoralizes it by showing the world that its purpose is unjust, making it impossible for them to recruit, to stay motivated, and ultimately to function.
And all of this leaves us with one last big question. In a world that's so full of secrets, what's the more radical act? Is it to leak a single, undeniable fact? Or is it to share a story that can move millions?